Hey, welcome to Screenplay Junkie. My name's Drew Hellmich, and I'm a screenwriter. Film is a pretty sweet medium of art. However, before anything can make it to the big screen, it must start as a blueprint, text on paper. So if you're a fellow addict of film and storytelling, come join us as we take a look at various types of screenplays, short stories, and other source material that were crucial to the creation of the stories that we all love. I must warn you, though, there will be spoilers, so I do recommend being familiar with the title that's being discussed. Sound good? Cool. Then let's get started.
Is this thing on? Sharon, are we recording, Sharon?
A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K.
The elephant sat on top of the rhinoceros. I feel pretty good.
That was just a bunch. That was a layering of voices. That was
all right.
I'm warm now.
I feel
Cheeks are warm.
I am oily as an engine.
Your voice exercises are over now?
Speaking of voices, do I sound a little better this time around? A little more clear?
You sound a little bit clear. Yeah, more clear. Sorry, I had one more voice exercise there.
All right, now that we have completed our vocal warm-ups that we do before every show.
Every time.
We emphasize that every time.
Yep. Bryan, your voice sounds a little bit more clear today.
It does.
I hear what you're saying.
It does.
Why is that?
I'm just real happy. The way I have my mic plugged in a little better, just like the angle I'm at, it's just really hitting it. It's coming out a lot cleaner.
It was just an angle? All you do is angle it a little differently?
Yeah, sometimes I have that lint inside my auxiliary input. I was bitching about that last week, but now, I just have it at the right angle, and it's just coming in a lot cleaner.
You get rid of the lint, you get a better signal, I guess. It's great we can hear you.
Just kidding, I'm in studio.
Yeah,
I'm glad to be here.
We're seeing you, too.
That was very dramatic.
My drum roll, that was good. That was nice.
Oh, that's what that was?
It was a drum roll.
I was confused.
I tried my best.
A drum roll. Right. Home on spring break. It's awesome. We have you here in the studio. It's always good when we get to set up a third mic.
It's been a couple weeks.
It's good to be here.
Been a couple episodes.
Oh, no, yeah, dude. I'm so glad to be back. Sound normal. No drive-through.
So sweet.
I say we roll out the red carpet and get on with this episode of Ron Burgundy.
What number is this, by the way, too?
Did you read the teleprompter with a question mark there?
Yeah. Oh, Bryan, he
us.
doesn't have the teleprompter. He's screwed. He doesn't have the teleprompter. Right,
no,
yeah.
We're looking at episode 18.
Anchorman. The Legend of Ron Burgundy. All right, so we chose this one. I know I was excited about it. What were your guys' initial thoughts going into reading the screenplay and rewatching the movie?
I'll take this one first here. I was more than excited to be ready to read the screenplay, and because I love the movie. I remember in high school, my buddies and I would be always quoting this movie. So it's just Anchorman back into it. Seen it so many times.
Yeah.
So I was definitely excited to dig deep and see where the idea started with the screenplay.
How deep did you dig? How deep are we talking?
All the way to China.
Because in Holes, Shia LaBeouf, he had to dig a hole as deep as the length of his shovel.
Dig it up.
So did you at least go the length of your shovel?
When I was doing my research, I was playing that song in the background.
Watch out for those lizards.
So I was going pretty deep.
Did you invent sploosh?
I'm on the other side of the spectrum. I've probably only seen this movie one time, maybe.
That's crazy.
I know you guys are really well
versed. We had HBO at my college, or where we lived in my apartment. Somehow we had HBO.
And they had it on there?
And HBO was just running Anchorman, I feel all the time. So I watched it all the time there. And before that, I feel like I had seen it a lot.
Yeah.
So this was a movie I was excited to read the screenplay, especially because had before we chosen to do it, had you read it in the past, Drew? Or no?
No, I've never read this before.
Okay, well, it turned out to be different than the actual movie, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I know. Like I said, I haven't really seen this movie. I've probably seen it one time. I need to watch it again because
we didn't even.
Yeah, we ended up not watching.
We are going to reveal you the big thing about this episode is that we didn't even end up actually watching the one that you've all seen.
Right, because we discovered while doing a little research on the background of the movie that in the DVD special bonus version of Anchorman, The Legend of Ron Burgundy, there's a Wake Up Ron Burgundy, The Lost Movie. It's a whole hour-and-a-half movie that features a bunch of footage that just wasn't in the movie. Like they had all these extra deleted scenes, all this kinds of stuff, and they put it all together for a whole nother movie with a completely different plot almost.
So do you think they could have spliced what we watched into the movie that everybody knows? Or do you think it was just...
It would have made it as long as the Titanic.
It would have been like a 3-hour movie,
Yeah.
3.5 hour movie.
I don't think I can have that much Ron Burgundy and Brick Tam, whatever his last name is.
Brick Tamlin.
Brick Tamlin.
Yeah, he likes lamp. Remember that. That wasn't in the screenplay
No,
either.
it wasn't
Remember
in the screenplay.
That line wasn't in the screenplay.
I bet a lot of that was definitely improv.
Yeah, it had to be.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So a big thing I just want to bring up now is, like, remember in the movie, the whole, like, story that was the plot that they were covering in the newsroom was, like, the panda was giving birth, right?
Yep.
And that was a big deal. The news team had to cover it. Whereas in the screenplay and in the movie that we watched, this, like, movie with all the deleted scenes or whatever, the plot is that this, like, gang of, like, I don't know, hooligans, basically, like, really
pacifists, yeah.
they're like pacifist criminals, but they're like terrible at
Which
being
is a
criminals.
weird combination.
Yeah, it's weird. They're just like robbing banks, and their motives really aren't known.
Yeah, they're vague.
But the news team is trying to cover them and like figure out who they are.
Yeah.
And there's no panda, there's no zoo.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I just wanted to make that known.
Let's talk about the script information really quickly. So, Anchorman by Will Ferrell and Adam McKay.
Yeah, Will Ferrell wrote it. I didn't know that. I had no idea.
Yeah,
I don't even know who Adam McKay is, honestly. Never heard of him.
Well, he did Talladega Nights with Will Ferrell, too.
Where actually, fine, this is actually relevant, is they consider him and Will Ferrell, and what's the dude's name? I already forgot it.
What?
That he wrote it with.
Adam McKay?
Adam McKay,
They
yeah.
consider, they have a trilogy with Talladega Nights and the two Anchormen. They call it the trilogy because like Will Ferrell like essentially plays like the same character, I guess.
Kinda.
It was like a fun fact that I read.
I read that too, and to me, it's not a trilogy. It's two movies that are two movies, and then there's Ricky Bobby, which is a completely different movie.
They said he becomes like a local hero.
No, it's just because McKay directed it and Will Ferrell starred in it, and they both wrote it
as
together.
a working and writing trilogy.
Yes.
Okay.
The script date is February 26, 2003, and it clocks in at 106 pages. Matt, do you want to hit us with the IMDb info, please?
Yeah, sure. So The Legend of Ron Burgundy, Anchorman, came out in 2004. I'll read the log line now. Ron Burgundy is San Diego's top-rated newsman in the male-dominated broadcasting of the 1970s. But that's all about to change for Ron and his cronies when an ambitious woman is hired as a new anchor. So anyways, this movie was directed by Adam McKay, written, like Drew said, by Will Ferrell and Adam McKay. And starring in this movie is Will Ferrell as Ron Burgundy. Christina Applegate plays Veronica Corningstone. Paul Rudd plays Bryan Fantana. Steve Carell is Brick. David Koechner? Oh, jeez.
Sure.
David Koechner plays Champ Kind. Fred Willard plays Ed Harkin. Then Chris Parnell is Garth Holiday. Also in this movie is a bunch of cameos, and I'll go ahead and list those now. In this movie, you see Seth Rogen, Jack Black, Ben Stiller, Vince Vaughn, Danny Trejo, Tim Robbins, Judd Apatow, Luke Wilson, and the director of the movie, Adam McKay, is even seen in a cameo.
Wow. They really got the gang together for this one.
Heck yeah, they did. Oh, and also shout out to Paul F. Tompkins and Fred Armisen. Under IMDb, on every movie we cover, there's plot keywords. I've never told you guys about this. There's plot keywords for every movie.
Plot keywords.
For Anchorman, there's 165 plot keywords, but yet the top one here shown on IMDb is erection visible through clothing.
Wow.
So, as in plot keyword?
That's a key word in the plot. Or keywords. Erection visible through clothing.
That's absurd.
It's the pleat in the pants.
I
That's my only response to that. I don't know what else to say.
just don't.
It's the pleat. So anyways, this movie cost $26 million to make.
Pretty pricey.
Oh, wow.
On its opening weekend, it made $28 million, so it absolutely killed it. Gross USA, though, only $85 million. So I would have assumed a lot more.
I mean, they definitely got to be pretty happy with that opening weekend because...
You made all your money back on an opening weekend, yeah?
Just more fun facts I got for it, just relaying off of that is... This was through DreamWorks, and I heard that Will Ferrell and and like Apatow and the other dudes had a rough time convincing them because they didn't believe that this 70s movie was going to be a hit in the theaters or not.
Okay.
But I guess they sent them like, I want to say like 20 different revisions of the script, and they finally accepted it. So
Whoa. DreamWorks.
Yeah, well, they definitely did not accept the version that we read because the final movie is much different.
Yeah, much different.
All right, cool. Well, that's all the information I really have on the movie. Next, I'm going to go into some trivia stuff for you guys.
All right.
So check it out. This film, like Bryan just have been talking about, was pitched to DreamWorks over 20 times, right? And this was even after that Ferrell had success with like old school Elf. So you'd think they would have took it right away as is, but like Bryan said, tons of revisions, but it finally got accepted. The co-writer and director, Adam McKay, had said that in the first draft of Anchorman, the story was about a plane load of news anchors who crashed in the mountains and discovered that the plane which they collided with was carrying monkeys and martial arts equipment, where this whole thing led to a battle between cannibalistic newsmen and ninja star throwing monkeys.
This is just
That's ridiculous.
This is why DreamWorks did not accept it.
How would you make that?
I couldn't imagine seeing something like this with Will Ferrell and throwing monkey ninja stars in the mountains of a news team.
I would watch it. Sign me up.
How do you even come up with that? That's ridiculous.
The monkeys would be the hard part. Like you need the guy who played Caesar from Planet of the Apes. You need him in a full green suit, morph suit again.
Andy
dancing around. Andy Serkis, yeah.
They could just go quick budget and pull like a Wizard of Oz and just make some suits.
I don't know. Either way, it sounds like a cartoon.
It does sound like more of a cartoon.
I'm glad that that's not the movie. It kind of sounds like somehow the plot of like Cliffhanger to me with the plane going down. Whatever.
Lord of the Flies.
Yeah, with the cannibalistic aspect,
nice.
definitely.
Yeah.
And the conch. There's a conch in Anchorman. Connect that.
True, yeah.
So the title Anchorman, The Legend of Ron Burgundy appears to have been inspired by the 2001 documentary Porn Star, The Legend of Ron Jeremy.
I did see that.
I thought that was Bucky Larson.
That's pretty funny.
That's a real thing. Let's talk about Will Ferrell real quick. So he graduated from college with a degree in journalism, actually. So maybe that's how it helped him get the idea for this movie.
Makes sense, yeah.
And he anchored the local news a few times before breaking into comedy.
Okay.
So Will Ferrell also has played the flute since elementary school. So jazz flute, that's all day, every day for Will Ferrell.
Wait, so that was him live playing?
He definitely wasn't playing, but he can play the flute.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and believe that he was actually playing.
He can play, but I don't know if he can spit fire out of his flute. That one,
but
I can't say.
I wish it was the recorder.
Dude, I can play Hot Cross Buns like right now for you probably.
All day.
Bring it out. So the character Will Ferrell plays, Ron Burgundy, he was inspired by a veteran Detroit broadcaster named Mort Krim, who was on TV from 1978 to 1997.
All right.
Never heard of him. Yeah, right.
So yeah, he was based on
all
real
characters.
person.
Yeah, Mort.
So when they wrote this movie, they had ideas for who they wanted to play certain characters. So for Champ Kind, they wanted John C. Reilly, who's in Step Brothers with Will Ferrell. Mm-hmm. For Brick Tamland, they wanted Chris Parnell, who's in the movie. He plays like the assistant to the guy who runs the network.
Yeah.
For Brian Fantana, they wanted Ben Stiller, and then Ron Livingston tried out for the role.
Okay, yeah.
Ron Livingston is the guy in Office Space.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
What's up?
For Garth, I have Dan Aykroyd.
Yeah, I got Garth.
Really?
Yeah, Dan Aykroyd. For Ed Harkin, they wanted Ed Harris. And to play Vince Vaughn's character, they were considering Alec Baldwin.
What the hell, dude?
Yeah, Vince Vaughn killed it. I'm glad they
Vince Vaughn definitely
he was so
killed
funny.
it.
Who else is in that?
Ben Stiller's in it?
Luke Wilson is so funny as the guy who gets his arm ripped off.
Oh, yeah, that is Luke Wilson.
Yeah, that part's awesome. Also, listen to this. The script, or one of the original scripts, specified that they had a fifth news team member, and it was supposed to be a guy named Marshall Connors, and they wanted William H. Macy to play him. That's so specific.
This is so random.
Such a specific fact.
Yeah.
In the street fight, this is the last fact I have. In the street fight, in the movie, there were 23 people involved. 23. No touching of the hair or face.
That's probably my favorite scene in the movie that I can remember.
Ben Stiller as he's like the leader of like the Hispanic news channel.
Yeah,
that part's awesome.
Every time I just die laughing.
Where he's like, "Como están, bitches?"
Yeah. All right, yeah, sweet. That's all the trivia. All right, so remember, for this episode, we all didn't watch the actual Anchorman movie. We watched the different version that was released on the DVD, which featured all the extra content, all the deleted scenes. So we're going to be talking mostly about that content and the content from the screenplay. Okay? Cool.
Yeah.
Yep. So this alternate film companion to Anchorman, The Legend of Ron Burgundy, was compiled from dropped subplots and alternate takes. While Ron Burgundy's rivalry with Veronica Corningstone continues, a group of unprofessional thieves, better known as the Alarm Clock Gang, try to make the truth known, whatever that may be.
As soon as you start reading the screenplay, you immediately notice that this takes place in Portland, and as you know in the film, it takes place in San Diego.
Oregon, sorry.
Yeah.
Oregon. Portland, Oregon.
So, I would imagine just shooting in San Diego is probably way easier than
much easier.
Why is
Portland.
that? Why?
I don't really know, like, absolute fact, but I feel like just licensing, it's just more common to shoot in California.
Oh,
right?
okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
I can agree with that.
That kind of makes sense.
But, I could be wrong about that. Maybe they just figured, no, let's just go to San Diego, whatever. Originally, they were doing in Portland, which I'm curious to want to know why they chose Portland as the destination.
Yeah,
right?
that's true.
Maybe because, like, being an Anchorman in Portland is definitely inferior to being an Anchorman in San Diego, maybe, which makes it kind of funny. It gives, like, a more of, like, a delusional ego to
the character of Ron Burgundy.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and a whole theme that is like of this script and the movie is that like in the 1970s, literally people believed everything the news guy said.
Yeah, it's true.
Everything that was on the news, that was all they knew or
still
all they
do
could
that.
talk about. Yeah, me too. Like the other day, I learned that I got nothing. Sorry, I just have to cut this part out. But
And also, while I was reading, this just kind of felt like a big SNL skit to me. And what I mean by that is, SNL does it, like other comedy shows do it as well, where they do their little bits on kind of like a news anchor. You know what I'm talking about?
That type of feel,
yeah,
no,
it's on every episode of SNL. I can't remember what it's called, but it's
I don't either, but
it's just their news thing they do. Yeah,
that's just what
And it's
this
just line them up and then like knock them down jokes. It's just like the one-liners essentially. Kind of.
That's just what this movie felt like. So I'm wondering if that's what that's what inspired them to get to this point with the film. That's all I got.
Yeah, maybe. You're saying you felt it was more SNL reading the script or watching the movie?
Both.
Because the movie, like in the deleted scenes we watched, it definitely felt like SNL skits because the dialogue for a lot of it was weaker and like just felt like they
even like the compilement of like
the
editing,
the acting wasn't as
like
good
throughout
in
the movie.
scenes.
It was just like, oh, like we're kind of here now.
Yeah,
it was just like it wasn't gelling.
It just jumped around. Scenes dragged really long.
Yeah,
because there were just the full cuts, the full shots.
And
it was
plus,
a bonus feature. It was a definite bonus feature.
Plus, everybody like in this movie is in SNL.
Yeah.
So that's just what it seemed like
I don't
to
think
me.
Paul Rudd was.
Yeah, I don't know. Probably not him, but the majority of like everybody else. Though.
Everyone has ties like to Saturday Night Live, definitely,
yeah,
in this movie. All right, so first things first here, let's dig into some character differences from the movie to the screenplay that we read, or just in the alternate movie that we watched, right? So in the screenplay, or actually, let's start with the movie, right? Baxter in the movie. Baxter is Ron's dog.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The most important character.
In the movie, he seems like it's just like a normal-age dog, like tons of energy. It doesn't come off as old at all, right? Well, in the screenplay, Baxter is 22 years old, right?
Is that in dog years that they want to take this as?
No, human years. 22 human years.
Times 7.
Oh, wow. That's so old. I've never known a dog that was 22.
That's really old.
No. Does it in the movie?
Does
Baxter have like subtitles?
Yeah,
he does.
He does have subtitles. Yeah,
he
say communicates with the bear.
nature.
Remember at the end of the movie, he communicates with the bear.
Oh yeah,
it's pretty fun. It's hilarious. But in the screenplay here, a big difference. One of the funniest lines in the movie is when he comes home and we meet Baxter, and Baxter eats a whole wheel of cheese. We find out and pooped in the refrigerator. And I just love that line. Half of it's not in the script. There's no wheel of cheese, but the pooping in the fridge thing is in the script.
It made it.
So I just wanted to mention that. Even though he's 22 years old, he still pooped in the fridge.
No subtitles in the screenplay.
Right, yeah, no subtitles.
None of that.
But the biggest difference with Baxter in the script is that he actually dies. He's killed.
I didn't see that coming at all.
Yeah.
I know in the movie, I know that he just comes back randomly.
Jack Black
It was
punts
Jack
him
Black,
off,
right?
But then Baxter finds his way back. Yes.
Oh my god.
Whereas in the screenplay here, the dog is just punted
And does not come back.
and is just killed. I mean, there's a scene you guys remember where Ron is talking to a police officer, and the cop is just like, so the cop is like, so even if your dog survived the initial fall, he would have been chopped up by the sewage treatment turbines, or eaten by river eels, or hacked up by a recreational boat propeller.
What is Ron's response? Wasn't he like, oh, so there's a chance he's
He's like,
still alive?
there's a chance.
Yeah, that reminded me of Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah, most definitely.
Unbelievable. Like, that poor dog. I mean, it lived a nice 22-year life, but, oh, what a terrible, abrupt ending.
I just want to come full circle with him because at the end of the screenplay that we read, wasn't it some random dog, like not the kind of dog that Baxter described as
Just
like a
a random
terrier?
dog.
Like
Any
a
dog.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
a
yeah.
Doberman like comes up to him and he's just like, Baxter, is that you? You're back? And then in like the dialogue, or not the dialogue, in like the exposition, it just says like a dog that clearly does not look like Baxter at all.
And then someone's like, hey, like, should we tell Ron that's not his dog?
And they're like, no.
The boss is like, yeah, just let him have the moment.
In the movie that we watched, the bonus feature one, it was like a
Oh, yeah, it
looked like a
was.
terrier. It was like a little Rottweiler.
Yeah, it did.
One.
Yeah.
It's classic. Just Ron showing his intelligence.
All right, so the next character difference that I want to talk about is Wes Mantooth. That's Vince Vaughn's character.
Can we
in the
before
movie.
we get into this? Can I just go ahead and point out just how great the character and like name selection they did with this movie?
Wes Mantooth. Yeah.
Ron Burgundy. Just as like an Anchorman, like it just comes out as so well.
Fake names. Fake names are
names.
important. You got to have a bunch of good fake names.
Especially in goofy movies like these ones.
Yeah.
If you had a fake name, like what are you going with? Give me a best Anchorman fake name.
Well, I won't give an Anchorman fake name. I'm going to go with another movie that Drew already brought up, Dumb and Dumber, Lloyd Christmas.
Oh.
Like, how about that? That's a great
That's
name.
a great one.
But in Anchorman, Wes Mantooth is the best name. That's like all day. But in the screenplay,
Forget it.
this is why I brought this up. Wes Mantooth's name is Frank Vichard. What a boring name. Wes Mantooth
is better.
Frank Vichard.
Yeah.
Frank Vichard's the mailman. Wes Mantooth just made $1 billion deal with, a big company. He's a cool guy.
And didn't even say a word.
Yeah, he's a cool guy. I want to hang out with Wes Mantooth,
White
not
suit,
Frank
super
Vichard.
cool.
All right, so those are the only differences from the two characters in the movie that we know. All right, so these next characters we're going to talk about are the characters that are not in the movie. These were only in the screenplay and in this alternate movie that we watched, all right? They're called the Alarm Clock Gang, or just the Alarm Clock, I think.
Yeah.
TikTok, don't mess with them on your block. That's.
TikTok, don't mess with them on your block.
Yep.
Wow. Did you just come up with that?
I just came up with
Is that their
that.
Whoa.
slogan? Because I didn't remember reading that.
No, I just came up with that.
That was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
If that was in the edition, they might have kept it.
I think they would have recruited you. They would have made you the
Seriously, man.
leader. They would have listened to anything you said. All right, but remember, everybody, in the movie, the whole story they're covering is the panda giving birth. In the screenplay, they're covering the alarm clock people because they're robbing banks. They're doing all kinds of criminal activity, okay?
Oh, yeah.
So, in the alarm clock gang, we have Paul. He's 28, I guess. He's the leader. Then there's Sandra, Paul's girlfriend, who's 23 and described in the screenplay as a sexy mama. Okay? Then there's Oliver, who's 32, a wiry genius with glasses. Then there's a tall, imposing Mexican man named Mark. And then we have a sexy African-American woman named Deidre X. Deidre X. Cool name, right?
That's a cool name.
That's a
most
pretty cool
definitely.
name. She's a badass. She sounds badass. And then we have a muscular guy who's 25 and never got
No
a name.
name.
Just
No
no
name.
name. Poor guy.
The muscular
Just
guy.
great all-around description.
Yeah. The crew. the alarm clock gang, man. There they are.
Watch out.
All 6 of them.
I hated these guys. They sucked.
Portland is never the same because of the alarm clock.
No, these guys were just like the hooligans that were just trying to mess everything up.
Yeah, they try to befriend you and try to get an orange Julius with you.
Yeah, well, remember their whole directive in the screenplay was that they wanted to go to D.C., Washington D.C., so they could chain themselves to the White House and then refuse to move until their message was heard. But they didn't even really have an actual
They
message.
had no message.
Like the whole leader was basically just like a con artist, just getting people to follow him. But he had no real reason for them to do anything.
It was just like him trying to make this like memorandum.
It was
right?
so stupid.
Manifesto.
Oh, manifesto.
He was
They're like,
writing-
"Are you done writing it?" He's like, "No."
But
They were following him just for the manifesto.
But
Like,
his
that's what they were
manifesto,
doing.
his whole thing was just to propose recycling. And they shut it down. They thought it was the stupidest idea ever.
Like, it was all things that we do now or have things that have, like, in our lives now, and they're all like, that would never happen. Are you kidding me? No way.
Oh, I did pick up on that. Yeah, you're right.
It was silly.
It was goofy. This whole gang, it was way too goofy. This is like the whole Saturday Night Live feel, I feel like, with this whole gang of people.
Yeah, true, very true.
And it makes sense why it was not in the Final Cut movie.
Yeah, it was dumb.
All right, so plot related to this movie, the beginning of the movie, the beginning to the movie, and the beginning to the screenplay is basically the same. So let's jump to when Ron goes ahead and he asks out Veronica strictly as professionals, right? And he's like wearing this awesome red turtleneck, I think, in the movie.
Yeah.
And then there's the scene, though, that's different than the movie and the screenplay, is where in the screenplay, there's this whole little part where he's driving Veronica to like wherever they're going for the date, and they're in his car, right? And he's like driving the car the whole time, and he's not even looking at the road. And we saw this in the alternate movie too. He's just not looking at the road. He's like looking at her. And
he's just staring right at Veronica.
I like this part. I liked it more in the screenplay, just because my imagination could really control what was going on.
It was funny. The way it was written was funny. He's just staring at her. He's like, "Your eyes are as beautiful as the ocean." And he's just like swerving.
And she's like, "Oh, Ron, please put your eyes on the road." And he's like, "It's all right. I'm so safe.
Don't worry, baby."
He's like, "I've done this. I know these roads."
Yeah, she's like, "You almost just hit that Hispanic family." He's like, "Oh, those are the Rodriguezes. I know them. They'll be fine."
And then he parallel parks.
Yeah,
perfectly.
He does this insane maneuver while just still making eye contact with her and never looking at the road. That would have been really funny in the movie, and it was funny in the alternate version for like a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it dragged on though, I thought. Like a lot of things in that alternate version that we watched, I thought a lot of the scenes just dragged on way too long.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. That's right here in my notes. Dragged. So then now let's talk about when they get to this like bar, right? Remember when Ron plays jazz flute?
Oh, I'm not prepared. I'm not. He pulls it out of his sleeve.
Yeah, right out of his sleeve.
That was awesome.
That was awesome. So dope. Yeah, the whole music scene is funny too. Like he blows the fire out. Like Ray said that.
So that actually happens in the real movie?
In the movie, he plays jazz flute. Oh,
okay,
yeah.
Okay.
So afterwards, though, Veronica is like smitten with him, right? Mm-hmm. She loves him. And this is a line she says. Does one of you guys want to read it? I mean, I think it's ridiculously funny. This was not in the movie.
Yeah, I got it. It's a long one, so bear with me here.
Yeah, hold on. Just for context. She's trying to tell Ron, like, he asked her, like, what her dream is or, like, what she wants to do.
Yeah.
And her dream, obviously, is to be an anchor.
Right.
All right.
She never really had, like, a normal girl childhood.
Right.
Let's see here.
You're about to go, so go ahead.
I've always been cursed with talent for pursuits usually dominated by men. As a little girl, instead of playing house, I would play drill sergeant or butcher.
Play butcher? What the hell? How do you
what does that mean?
Give a child knives. Let's do that.
Hey, slice that meat thinner.
But then in high school, I learned how to dunk, and I could hit a three from ABA range, but the coach wouldn't let me play with the boys.
She just learned how to dunk. She was doing windmills.
What's ABA? Just like the...
Oh, that was the league that was like... The ABA combined with the NBA. Like, the Spurs were from the ABA.
Is that where the Flint Tropics played?
Yeah, exactly. The Flint Tropics were in the ABA.
So after she gets cut from the boys' basketball team, she tries to get a job as a lumberjack.
Yep, just chopping wood, chopping trees.
But they laughed at me.
Why would they laugh at her?
Oh, I don't know.
So weird.
Who knows?
She can dunk. Leave her alone.
But then one day, she read the PA announcements at the school and was hooked. And I knew she wanted to be a news anchor from then on.
Yeah.
The gifted talent really showed that she could read some news.
Yeah, and then she's been lonely, and it's been difficult for her, and she's been lonely. And then Ron's like, hey, you be a woman, and I'll be a man. And there's the whole cartoon scene, which was in the screenplay. I thought that was funny. They actually like described them like going to a cartoon land, and that was like they're making love.
So that's what when I remember.
That was funny.
When reading the screenplay, I was like, "Was this in the movie?" But then,
it is.
Okay.
Said it is. So.
And you think that's maybe where the panda survived to be into the real movie, right? Because in the dream there was like a panda, wasn't there? And then in the actual movie at the end, there's
maybe
like
that's
the panda birthing
idea.
it. I don't know.
I don't know.
Maybe, yeah. That could be an idea.
Because it was a sex panda.
That could be a fan.
I don't really want to talk about the sex panda.
Yeah, no.
It's too weird.
It was weird.
It was weird.
All right, so let's skip ahead in the movie. I want you guys to think about when Veronica does the news and Ron is just baffled, right? Like Baxter got thrown off the bridge. He misses everything.
Yeah, that's why he's late.
He's
right?
late. And they break up entirely. Like, he cannot handle the fact that she read the news because
Can we just? I love that part in the actual movie when he's like, "Oh, get out of my way," and he just like lowers that shoulder into that guy's.
I love how he takes the
I've
cigarette
got to
and then
do
he's
the
just like
news.
taking drags of the cig while he's running. Like, that was not in the screenplay.
It was. I
Oh,
remember it. Yeah.
Oh, okay, all right, cool.
Yeah, but what a great scene. But yes, Veronica she's leading the news, giving the story.
And she's a co-anchor now because she did so well. And now we got to
Yeah.
skip to the fight scene. Okay, this is when the boys. I think they were going to buy new suits or whatever they were doing.
That's what it was.
I don't
They were
remember.
like, because I remember they're all sad. He's like, "What do men do when they're down?" They're like, "New suits," and they jump in like that
Yeah.
frame freeze.
I do the same thing. Don't you guys? I have like 12 suits in my closet right now.
Really?
They're all so fresh.
Wow.
Yeah. I get the money to buy them from selling fake magazines like Yaya and The Sandlot. I just go around town saying, "Hey, you want to buy a magazine subscription? $20."
Yeah.
And then they never get a magazine.
No.
In the script, it was pretty awkward, like, I guess, or just kind of weird because the whole fight scene was missing. The guys didn't fight at all because before the fight could break out, they all saw like a crossing guard across the street from where they were, and everyone scattered. And we don't know how many people were there or how many news teams were there.
Crossing guards are intimidating.
I mean, I love the switch that they made to make to the movie with the actual fight scene. It's needed. It's probably one of my favorite scenes in the movie.
It's so
itself.
iconic. I mean, they redid it in the second movie because
Brick
it was so
killed the
iconic.
guy.
Yeah, he killed the guy. He's got to lay low for a while.
I mean, that's the scene I think of, and like I said, I've only seen it like one or two times or whatever.
yeah.
That's the scene I directly think of.
Yeah, it's just weird how in the script we just really lacked that because that was a part I was looking forward to see what they had.
Yeah, to see how they
It
wrote
felt
it.
like
Yeah.
Matt, you pointed out too. It felt like we were missing a page.
Yeah, you brought out that it kind of looked like notes. Like they were like, that was something they were like, oh, we don't have this yet. We're going to finish the rest and come back to this part.
Yeah,
maybe
it was
we, like,
weird.
skipped
So
a
maybe
little
that's
bit,
what it was.
maybe.
We don't really know. But at this point in the script, because the story that they're covering, right, is about these thieves, it's not about a panda giving birth.
Yeah.
The whole ending to the script is different than the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And in the script, Ron decides he wants to be an investigative reporter, basically, and figure out what these thieves are up to.
He's
the
taking
alarm
it.
clock.
He's taking
yeah.
his talents to
But
the
he
streets.
doesn't know. He
He's
doesn't
going
know
to
what
the
a
streets.
lead is,
No,
and he
he-
doesn't know what a source is.
He has no idea how to investigate anything. But his boss gives him a lead to take information off Veronica's desk, and so he does.
How does he do that? How does he go about doing
Oh
that?
yeah, how does he do that? I forgot.
He tells
He
Helen
tells Helen that he's got.
The secretary, yeah,
that
that-
Veronica has some naked pictures of him,
in the desk.
and he's like, I
I
want
need
those
to
back.
get those back
and he
immediately.
just takes all the files.
Well, he takes one file specifically,
Yeah.
and it has the information of who the leader of the alarm clock gang is.
Yeah.
Paul, right? His name's Paul.
Yeah.
So Ron forms his own investigation show, Rip the Lid Off with Ron Burgundy, and he like gets the whole news team to go with him. And
This was a good part when you bring it back to an SNL skit because it was just like
this was funny to read.
it was.
I thought
funny,
this part
funny
was
to read
funny,
and
yeah.
watch because it was in the
it was in the
bonus version
alternate
that we
movie.
watched.
Yeah, this part's in the alternate movie. So they go to the guy's house. And well, first they go to the wrong house.
Yeah,
It's
he's an old
hilarious.
gentleman, yeah.
And he's just like, "You're a scumbag. You're
Well, I
the
didn't
lowest
know
piece
what
of
I
low
was
on earth."
doing.
Yeah,
Like he was just being old and just taking it.
they're just accusing the wrong guy of horrible things. And then they finally go to the right house, and the guy just invites him in the house. This Paul guy, who's the leader of the alarm clocks.
Yeah.
And then, long story short, he confesses that he's the leader, and then he steals the news van and just drives away. And then Ron's just like, "Wow, he's actually a bad guy. This is fun."
Silly.
But
Very silly.
They completely turned that around because apparently the cops were like 2 days from having like a warrant to arrest him.
Right.
And now he ran away and had to start all over.
So Ron's investigative work, messed everything up, basically. So this is where things get pretty crazy. So the alarm clock gang now, in this alternate movie and screenplay that we read, they kidnap Veronica for some reason.
Yeah, it was pretty quick. how
Because they
pretty
decide
quick.
that they need to get their message, which is non-existent. They need to get their non-existent message out on the media into the news. So they
And they
kidnap
wanted an
Veronica.
anchor
Yeah,
to,
they
like,
wanted
read
to read their manifesto.
Yeah.
that isn't finished.
Yeah. Idiotic. But Ron and the guys feel like they have to go save Veronica, right? So they figure out from like one of Ron's mentors, what was that character's name? Jess
Jess Moondragon.
Jess
Yeah.
Moondragon.
Yeah.
Jess
It's a
Moondragon.
man, and he was like Ron's like idol, this
Yeah.
like mentor anchor.
Right.
Somehow Ron figures out from him like where this compound is, where the bad guys are, and there's just kind of this whole scene that was in the alternate version and in the screenplay where they like Ron gets captured with Veronica, but then the news team drops in like Navy SEALs on wires.
Yeah.
And there's this whole fight scene. And it's like shot like Austin
like a
Powers
montage,
or
yeah.
old Batman or old Charlie's Angels action scenes. It was really corny.
Yeah.
It was pretty corny, but I laughed.
It was funny.
It was funny.
It was funny.
Most definitely.
And they save Veronica. Did the bad guys like get really arrested? We didn't really.
I don't
see
know.
that.
No, they
But,
never really answered that
In the
question.
process, though, Ron takes a bullet in the shoulder.
Right.
He gets shot because he dives in front of Veronica because the bad guy Paul tries to shoot her.
Yeah, that's like the first. Well, I mean, he kidnapped her, so actually, that's not the first time he's actually done an act of like actual bad guy
Yeah,
stuff.
He's a bad guy. He robbed banks. He's a bad guy.
Oh yeah, and that.
That was a good take, Drew. That was deep.
Well, I don't have my teleprompter, so
Yeah, we're just winging it here. We're doing our best. I think the last thing I got here is just that, like, in the ending of the movie, Ron becomes a successful network anchor, right?
Yeah,
that's
in the
how they
movie,
end
yeah.
the first Anchorman.
Yeah.
Like, he goes on to have all this success. He redeemed himself with the panda story, all that good stuff. In the screenplay, he just becomes a stay-at-home dad, and like
Yeah.
Veronica goes on to have all these success.
They said also he was like a poet of some sort too,
Yeah.
like a little bit. He like went on a journey.
yeah, like for like 10 years or something.
Yeah, some like Christopher McCandless, like Into the Wild type
Yeah.
stuff, where he just like walked into nature and is just like roaming around, like running from coast to coast, like Forrest Gump or something. Who knows?
But it's Veronica that gets the national deal,
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then he's a stay-at-home father. Yeah?
she's making all the dough. He's just like
Burgundy.
chilling at home, changing diapers.
They have kids, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and then I love how they end it too. That he's still doing some voice work. He records like,
Oh,
like
for
labels,
phone.
yeah, phone recordings, like voice messages for businesses. That was funny.
That was funny.
That
I
was
like
really
that.
fun.
Leave your message at the dial, and then like they were all cheering him
Yeah.
on, like great job, honey.
What was at the end? I like really glanced over it. I didn't read it because I was like, all right, I'm not reading this like song that they created. But
Oh,
they
yeah.
Tenacious
specified
D,
that it
they
was going to
closed
be
it out with
made by
Tenacious D.
Tenacious D.
Yeah, which is Jack Black's
more
band.
Jack.
and Kyle Gass.
That plays at the end of the movie.
Oh, that actually does?
Yes.
It's untamable. Yeah, there's a whole song. I can
That's
sing, but I don't
ridiculous.
wanna.
It's the Legend of Ron Burgundy. Or, as if we didn't say already, the script was originally titled Anchorman, Action News with Ron Burgundy.
Yeah.
It's funny because when you look at the screenplay, it's our PDF. It's like they added it with pencil.
Yeah.
after,
Yeah.
Because they're like, all right, let's just call it Anchorman.
Action News with Ron Burgundy. It was not titled Anchorman. Yeah, that's funny. It's hilarious.
Final thoughts? Is that what we're doing now? Final thoughts?
Yeah, let's jump into it.
Let's do it.
I mean, overall, I love the movie. I think I've seen it the most. That's kind of why I feel like I
The
took
most
the
memory
lead,
of it.
just like framing this episode.
Okay.
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah, okay.
I've seen the movie the most. I love it. I think it's so funny. Like, such a good thing to reference, like with my friends or bring it up with people. Maybe you don't even know someone, but if you do an Anchorman reference in front of them, you can immediately have a connection and be like, "Hey, I like this person."
I like this person.
He's
I
an
like
anchor
this
man.
Sure, I mean,
Man. Anchorman man.
the script was good too. Bits and pieces of it like were weak, and those are the parts that you can see in this alternate version, which we're not going to tell you how to find it or how we allegedly found it and watched it. But I mean, if you're good with Google, you can probably search it and maybe find it on your own. I don't know. But yeah, overall, fun thing to cover. Lots of good laughs. Recording the episode and preparing for it. So yeah, fun episode.
Yeah, no, I totally second that. I enjoyed reading it. I read this was like a 2-day dealio for me. I actually was reading it on my iPhone on the bus
Oh,
ride.
God,
home
that
here.
sounds horrible.
Just like straining my eyes.
Yeah,
I was like,
for
okay,
real.
I'm done with this. But yeah, no, getting through it, it was real funny to find out that there was new things that they decided to leave out, and I was even more happy to find out that they had this other edition DVD version with all the characters and
Yeah.
how it all came together. But the final product that everyone that I'm assuming that all of you guys have seen is definitely my favorite.
Yeah, it's the best.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's see. What do I have to say? Because I pretty much offered nothing in this episode. Yeah, Anchorman. I don't know much about it. But I think the script, like, just the goofiness in it, man. Like, that's what I'll take away from it. Just learning how to write, like, really, really goofy-ass scenes and the descriptions. Like, I like the opening of just how we met Ron Burgundy, where he was just talking to vendors and how it was like he eats one bite of a hot dog and then throws it down immediately. Or
he does that constantly throughout. Like how he
takes
throws
one
the burrito
bite
out his window and hits the biker, and that's how Baxter gets kicked.
I'm just too full.
Or the next, like he's walking down the same sidewalk and it's like a businessman. They're like, "Here, have a drink."
Yeah.
He hands him like a full, like a glass of scotch. He's like,
Slams it.
hello, alcohol," and like just drinks the whole thing. But yeah, a lot of goofy scenes. So
Like there's a line where someone's like, "Hey Ron, like you want some scotch?" He's like, "No, it's 2 PM. I'll take some tequila."
so he's just trying to write like goofy stuff. I guess like this is a nice template to learn from.
Oh yeah.
I like how they just like they reflected back on a time like, and they made fun of just like human stupidity in the 70s. Like women weren't allowed to have jobs because they were women. Like that's idiotic.
Yeah.
Back.
They captured it pretty well.
The whole booze thing, the haircuts, like
Cigarettes.
yeah, just the small time. Like everyone took their news from what they watched on one TV. Like,
Yeah.
it's such a funny idea to look back and make funny, and they killed it.
No matter what platform you're using to listen to us, I just want it to be known that we're available on iTunes, Spreaker, and YouTube. So if you like our content, please be sure to follow all of our channels so you can stay in the loop with new episodes. Also, feel free to give us a rating and leave us comments, or send us an email at screenplayjunkie.show@gmail.com. We'd love to hear your feedback. Also, if you have any recommendations of screenplays we should read, movies we should watch, or really anything, let us know on any of our platforms. We're always looking for other things to check out. On the next episode, we're going to be talking about the 1987 action sci-fi film, Predator, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger. Thank you for listening. We hope you can join us next time.